Yo, what's good? It's Skano from the gutter. So this story is disgusting on many levels. So LSU wide receiver Kyren Lacy, an NFL prospect, he was wrongfully accused, as it turns out. Now it's a lot to this story, man. Now there was an accident, a hit and run, where a man was killed. Now this woman involved, Brianna Gray, filed a false report, aided by this white officer. We'll call him Officer Goofy. I don't even remember his name, but Officer Goofy, coerced. What it turns out, it seems that he coerced her into making a false statement, uh, you know, claiming that Kyren Lacy, while driving his, Charger, going 70 miles an hour, driving reckless. This is the statement that, they ran with. Swerving around through traffic, driving recklessly, which caused this woman, to strike, killing somebody. Now, video surveillance has already disputed that. Dude was not flying, he was not speeding. Actually, he was about almost 100 yards behind this woman after the accident had occurred. He slowed down, surveyed, and kept going, like most people do. Now, they try to make it seem like dude, pulled a hit and run, defame this man's character, ruin his draft status. I mean, the NFL, they rebuked his, draft stat. In other words, they, based on this false claim, you know, screwed him out of his draft status. So you had, millions of people calling this man a piece of shit, a criminal, woo woo. Turns out he was not even involved in this accident. So, a couple months later, I believe in April, after a family gathering, a family event, he left, crashed his car, and shot himself. Now, this is all after, like I said, his character had been drugged through the mud. He's everything he worked for. You know what I'm saying? Because this dude was going to get drafted. Everything he worked for just flushed down the toilet, just like that, based on false accusations. And this woman, she's disgusting, man. You know what I'm saying? Went to the hospital, and you look at her bio on social media, she's some Christian, supposed to be a Christian. That's why I say, man, half the people that be talking about they Christians, man, y'all some demons. You know what I'm saying? But turns out he had nothing to do with this accident, man. And this cop, this, I'm going to be honest with you, man. This is based off jealousy, probably. They just hate to see young brothers getting it or looking like they have anything good going for themselves. You know what I'm saying? But how many times has this happened? You know what I'm saying? To, black people, being falsely accused for crimes they didn't commit. We know black folks have been executed. You know what I'm saying? On death row based on false accusations. But anyway, this cop, Officer Doofy, with these trumped up charges, coercing this woman into making a false statement. The police department, they didn't want to back down. They tried to take it as far as even after the fact. They had his body cam footage and they had other surveillance footage. And this chick, a black woman, you know what I'm saying? That's what makes this so much more disgusting. You helped destroy this man. And she should be brought up on charges. Straight up. And this cop, he ought to be fired, yesterday. But like I said, man, turns out this dude was innocent. And, after everything, just the mental anguish, depression. I mean, I guess it broke dude, obviously. You know what I'm saying? So he ends up killing himself. Now, after the fact, they come out, and they discover it had nothing to do with it. And like I said, man, this is just disgusting on so many levels, man. And they both should be in prison. Especially both of them. But what good is that gonna do, Kyren Lacy and his family at this point? And now his legacy, like I said, man, it's sad, man. It really is, man. I wish dude could have, just could have held on a little bit longer, man, and maybe the truth would have came up, but maybe, and if would have, could have, should have, at this point, that's all irrelevant. You got a young man, like I said, not only did they destroy his reputation, everything he had worked for, this man, and lost his life. So, like I said, man, this is just, it's disheartening, man. It really is that, because we already know what type of scrutiny and persecution that, and people, I hate to get up here and talk about all these race-related, but it is what it is, man. I was, race was not a discussion in this day and age, but unfortunately, in this world, in this country, we oftentimes, So like I said, if this cop don't get fired, people should be out and that's it, rioting, not rioting, but protesting. There's something should be done. He shouldn't get away with this shit because it has come to light that, like I said, he pushed this woman. I want to say, actually, it's some kind of a, it's a lot of narratives out. Some people saying she didn't actually sign the statement, his report, that is, because she didn't agree with what he was saying. And there's other people saying, I mean, I've seen photos of her at the, ER, you know what I'm saying? So before all the information fully, because I don't know every detail of this case, but what is known is this man was innocent. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, at this point, so I hope his family gets some type, sue the hell out this police department. This cop should be gone, Sick and tired of shit like this. And like I said, man, you got a lot of people in this country, others, that just hate to see black folks be successful and have anything going for themselves. You know what I'm saying? But if it's actually true that this female, this woman, Breonna Gray, actually intentionally falsified her statement, to dodge accountability, or she should be locked the hell up. But like I said, this cop definitely should be off the force. But it's a shame, man. So rest in peace, man, to Kyren Lacy, and condolences to his family, and I hope they receive some form of justice. But no matter how much money and, nothing is going to bring they people back. Nothing is going to bring their loved one back. So, like I said, man, just disgusting on so many levels. But are we surprised? It is what it is. No ops left Scano. You already know.